Yemaachi is my new project, and actually a couple of my co-founders are Ahasporans are on this call. Yemaachi is a biotech company. I might get a chance to talk a bit more about what led me to move from academia into biotech. But biotech is basically private research. It's something that's unheard of in Ghana, but it's very, very common in many parts of the world, many industrialized countries, where private companies do basic to sort of, you could say, translational research, taking work from academia through a pipeline and then ultimately heading towards big pharmaceutical companies. So big pharma obviously account for a lot of the money and a lot of the products, but big pharma don't like to get their feet or their hands dirty in basic science. And so they wait for biotech to do that work for them. And so I've been pulled into trying to do biotech because of a realization that research in Ghana is purely academic. And if we stay there, we will never go anywhere. Really, as Estella said, Africa accounts for 1% of global research output. We have 11% of the population. We have 20-something% of the disease burden, and we have less than 1% of the research output. And that is multifactorial, mostly because there's no money locally going into research. So government puts less than 0.25 or 0.5% of our GDP is invested in research. Compare that to industrialized countries where significantly more money is pumped. The US puts almost 3% of its GDP into research. Malaysia, which Ghana always compares itself to because of palm oil. In 1996, Malaysia only put 0.2% of its GDP into research. Then they switched up. Now they put 1.3%. And we all know where we are now compared to a country like Malaysia. So research is important. We need to put money into it as public money. But sometimes the government needs an incentive. And I believe that private industry can show government that research can be lucrative and can be profitable. And so that is the pull to try to establish a biotech company. That will hopefully be the first of many that will drive our research out of the classroom and into where it needs to go. So I tend to talk too much, so I'll end here, but I'm happy to take questions. And obviously throughout this discussion, hopefully I can weave elements of what I see as the challenges that Ghana faces, and really, indeed, not just Ghana, but Africa in general really faces now in terms of medical research, and the problems that will happen if we don't do more. Because currently we're not in charge of our own destiny. COVID has made that all too apparent. We are completely beholden to international aid agencies. Even HIV care in this country is funded internationally. The government of Ghana does not buy HIV meds for people in Ghana. And so if Trump decided to turn off the tap tomorrow, people in Ghana would not get HIV meds. And I think that is, and I think across Africa, it's not just Ghana. I don't mean to pick on Ghana, but too much of it is PEPFAR, Gates Foundation. All the money comes from big organizations, and we need to start solving these problems ourselves. So that's my bit for the beginning.
Dr. Bediako, final thoughts. Where should we be in 10 years when it comes to health research, when it comes to our health, and how will we get here?
Okay. 10 years sounds like a long way, but it's not that far.
It's quite close, actually. Yeah.
We're saying Vision 2020, and now it's here, and it brought Corona with it. I guess I don't know where we will be, but where I hope we are. I don't think I'm quite as optimistic as Darlington. I don't think we'll have nanites in 10 years, but I hope that we will be at least on a path towards self-sustainability. And what I mean by that is we will, as Lucia said, we would have taken our destiny, as it were, into our own hands. We will be self-determining our research agendas because we will be either self-funded, as in local funds, whether it's government or private enterprise. And even if our funding comes abroad, it will no longer be in the form of grants and aid, but it will be in the form of capital investment, which investment is based on the realization that you are a good business model to support because you're going to make me money. And I believe that changes the dynamic. It's no longer the have and the have-nots. It's basically you are an asset. You are something worth investing in. So I hope that in 10 years, medical research on the, not just in Ghana, but really on the continent, will be self-determining, will be self-sustaining, and will be data-driven. I agree entirely with Darlington that, Africa is a unique continent. We are the most genetically diverse. We have the most linguistic diversity of anywhere in the world. I mean, we are just the most diverse continent. Even, we get lumped together as a place of lots of problems. We may have the most diverse problems as well. But we are a place where you could do real, basically I like to think of it as the human race. Once we get our act together, there are great developments, there are great technologies, there are great advancements that can only really be developed in Africa because of the perfect mix of human and natural resources that we have. So I really believe that if we can get beyond our problems and our sort of self-inflicted as well as externally inflicted challenges, that we can get to a point where we are innovating. We are not just adapting or implementing. We are too happy with just copying. I think Bright Simmons has written a really good piece a while back about our love of just copying and taking other people's technology and trying to adapt it for the African setting. I hope that within 10 years, we will get to the point where we begin to look at our problems and generate innovative, locally generated solutions for our problems. And this obviously applies across all research, but within biomedical especially, I believe Africa has certain advantages. We are the only place in the world where you can continue to study the role of infectious disease and non-communicable disease. How infections cause cancer, for instance. You can't do it anywhere else. And so I think there are ways that we can understand disease that can only be done in Africa. Right now, we are at risk of being robbed again. Our natural resources were taken. Now our DNA is going to be taken. There have been stories of Ebola. COVID will be another one. They will come, they being Western scientists, will come and want our samples because they want to understand why Africans did not die the way people died in Europe. Those discoveries have to be done by African scientists. And the only way we can sort of safeguard our future is by taking responsibility. So finally, I would say for those who are not scientists, but are interested in supporting, it's more than just building a hospital. It's more than bringing hand sanitizer to Noguchi or gloves or buying a few DNA kits. Let us invest in basic research. Let us invest in the next generation of researchers. So I would love to see, I'd love to see private businesses and private individuals making donations beyond just the low-hanging fruits that we typically see. Invest in a scholarship at a university to endow a PhD, pay for someone to get a PhD. Invest in a biotech, but ultimately invest in things that may not be short-term wins, but are long-term big return. Because I think we tend to do the short things. I was volunteering at Noguchi and people brought us rice and tomato paste, and it's great. I appreciated that. But for everybody who brings rice, we need 10 people who will say, how can we equip a lab so the next time SARS-CoV-3 or whatever it is comes to Ghana, there's actually research that can actually lead in developing a vaccine. So I think we need to think bigger in terms of how we support. Whether we are working as scientists, think bigger for ourselves, and then people want to support, think big. It's bigger than just the immediate needs. We need to invest in building capacity in the long run. So that's where I hope we'll be in 10 years, that we'll have an ecosystem, a thriving biotechnology ecosystem with companies like Mino Health, Yemaachi, whatever, in addition to a bunch of academic-based research, really leading the front in researching diseases that affect us, and really being global leaders, not just Ghanaian or African leaders.